All right, sports fans, football fans, here we are again. It's Monday evening, and that means we're going to be talking football here. Welcome out to the Gridiron 64 podcast. This will be episode number 10. Earlier today, part one, we did the interview, of course, like we always do. We had two of Sitton's football players. We had quarterback Rene Galvan, and I think we had linebacker Jonathan Moody. It was a great interview. You guys, you're looking out for it. It'll be up about 10:30, 11 tonight on our GT Sports YouTube channel, GT Sports. Go to it. You can catch the interview that we had. Also, you'll be able to catch what we're going to talk about now, which is part 2 and 3. It's the breakdown. Gridiron 64 will break down week number 9 of our GI 64 schedule. And of course, we're going to preview week 10 here on the GI 64 schedule. And again, we've got the game of the week, and we got a state game like we always do. And before I pass it over to Tony, he's going to take us down. I want to introduce the crew. We're in full effect. Of course, Big T's here. Big T, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Ready to get it going.
We got the Z-Man, Johnny Zavala. Z-Man, how you doing?
Doing good.
And then we got the coach, Steve Cantu. How you doing, coach?
Hey, I'm blessed, brother. Happy to be here.
All right. There were some good games, guys, this week. I think I lost 3. I think I saw, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. 2 or 3, I think is what I saw. I didn't really review them carefully, but I just kind of glanced through it, and I think I lost 3. But there were some good games, some surprises. So I'll pass it over to Big T. He'll lead us in part 2 and 3, the breakdown and the preview. Big T, take it away.
Yeah. So week number 9, we did have some surprises. And some games that were closer, some games that were shut out that should have been good games. So the first game we're gonna talk about, Tuloso Midway Warriors versus the Beeville Trojans. In this game, Beeville takes the win big, 35-0 over Tuloso. In this game, Gabriel is the only one that picked Beeville to win. Me and Gabriel are the only ones that picked them to win. I'm sorry. And Johnny and Steve picked Tuloso. So I'm gonna go to you first, Gabriel. What went into your thought process in picking this Beeville to win this game?
Well, T, I'll tell you, when the season started, I was a little high on Beeville. I like the Sosas. I like the way they coach. And then, of course, they started off rough. They were losing, and then they lost some games that I thought they should have won. So maybe I thought, maybe they're just not as good as I thought they were going to be. Nothing against the coaches, but maybe they're just having another down year, and we're going to have to wait another year. But then that win against Alice, it really surprised me. I picked Alice, and I thought that was a huge win. I thought Alice was going to be a team that could make the 3rd or 4th seed in that district. So I was really shocked when Beeville beat them. But then, after beating a team like Alice, that I think is still a good football team, we had seen Tuloso-Midway when they played Rockport. So I thought they could beat Alice. And the manner that they beat them, I thought they could beat TM. I just didn't think TM had the offense. The defense is okay, but the offense, they just can't pass. And so I thought Beeville could beat them, and that's why I picked them. And sure enough, they blew them out. So maybe Beeville is catching some win here. Maybe this is going to be the 4th place team. It looks like it'll be Calhoun and Miller for sure. And we'll see what happens between Calhoun and Beeville. But I'm liking what Beeville's doing in these last 2 games. So we'll see what happens. They're picking up some speed, some confidence. You never know what those Trojans can do the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. This just means that you can't count them out. I mean, they could win the next 2 games. Let's see, who do they got? They got Cal Allen. They got a really tough opponent next week. But yeah, it was a very impressive win over Alice. So that's what brought me to believe that they were going to be able to win this game. Tuloso has had some really close games. They had a close game against Cal Allen. They had a close game against Rockport. But one of the things we talked about is that they can't pass the ball. You know what I mean? And it's really tough to win football games when you don't have any passing game. Their passing game is almost non-existent. So that's why I picked Beaver to win that game. I just felt like they were about to start getting hot, and that's why I picked them. Steve, what are your thoughts? You picked Tuloso. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, I was late on my picks. I didn't make it out Tuesday night
That's
when
right.
we did all the breakdown, or we did the picks. So I was late on my pick, but I was honestly just going off of what Beeville had showed me thus far, and then I know TM hadn't showed much better, but I felt that this was a winnable game for Tuloso-Midway, and it just wasn't the case. Now Beeville just did enough to win. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. Their stats really don't jump at you and blow you away, but they definitely did what they had to do, and they get an important win in their district to maintain that fourth spot. So they're hanging on to that fourth spot. And that's what they had to do. They had to, beat this Tuloso-Midway team that has been struggling thus far. So the rushing attack, they had Gonzalez with 8 carries for 69 yards. And let's see, Bearfield had 10 carries for 55 yards. So they kind of spread it between those two guys, along with Martinez had some carries in there, 3 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown. Bearfield also had a touchdown in the game. Like you said, there's not much to say in their passing attack, but they definitely did what they had to do to get this important win against Tuloso-Midway. So great job turned in by the Trojans. I did not have them picked for this game, man. I mean, I just, I wish they'd be more consistent but they like I said, they beat the team that they had to. They had to have this win. So they did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny, Steve's right. We got his picks actually Friday night before any of the games started. So we went ahead and jotted them down. So he didn't really have time to go in and look at stats and records and all that stuff. So he went with the Tuloso-Midway based off of gut. But you did have that time and you picked Tuloso-Midway. So what was your thought process in picking Tuloso-Midway?
And you're right, Tony. There were some shockers in this one. This was a shocker too.
That's a pretty big win, for a team that hasn't been doing great.
Yeah.
So what I was shocked about was how did Beeville score 35 points on TM? We only scored 28 points. That's my thing. That was the reason why I went with that. I thought it was going to be a very low scoring game, 7-6, 10-6, but I didn't expect Beeville to score more points against TM than Rockport did against TM. But yeah, this was actually the game that I had Beeville circled. And I don't know if you remember it. I squiggled it out and circled TM. So this was like a last second decision on me on this one.
Yeah.
All right.
Defensively, Tony, I mean, they kind of spread. They did the same on defense as they did on offense. It was a, by committee with no doubt. So nobody had more than 7 tackles on their defense. But there's quite a few of them that had the 7s and the 5s and the 4s. So, it was definitely a total team effort put in by the Trojans. So that's a great job, man. Good defense. They put a shutout on TM, something that Rockport wasn't able to do. So you're right about that one. So I guess Beeville is better than Rockport.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. All right. So the next game we got, this was a battle of third place in our district. Ingleside and Port Isabel were undefeated up until last week. Was it last week? No, the week before last when Ingleside lost to Rockport and Port Isabel lost to Sinton, I think that on that same night or something like that. So both of these teams are 6-1. Supposed to be a pretty good game. I thought it's supposed to be a pretty good game, but Ingleside comes out and wins big, 52-14, and we were all on the same side on this pick. We all picked Ingleside to win, but I really want y'all to just to elaborate. Both teams are 6-1. We talked about the strength of schedule that Ingleside had going into up into playing Rockport and getting their first loss. But what was y'all's thought process? I'm gonna go to you first, Johnny. To pick an Ingleside, even though Port Isabel on the other hand also had kind of a season where they had teams that weren't so great. So what was your gauge? What was your gauge into picking Ingleside to win? Going into this week.
Ingleside, straight the schedule or whatever. Ingleside's actually had bigger wins than Port Isabel. Port
You mean
Isabel,
scores?
Scores, yes.
Scores. Okay.
Yes. And, you need an offense to win a game. Defense can win a game, but you got to score. Obviously, TM don't have that offense, so they could have did nothing against Beeville. But, yeah, this is what I was going by. It was Ingleside's offense attack. They got a good quarterback. We've seen them, and they could move the ball. They can move the ball. They moved it pretty good on us still, even though it was a blowout at the end. It took us to the second half for us to put it away. But Ingleside jumped on it. Ingleside's the first half team, it seems like. They held us up, the first half. And this game, they jumped up to 35-0 at the half. So, on defense, they only gave up 180 yards. So I was expecting kind of a blowout with this one. I was not shocked with the score either.
Okay. Well, I expected myself. I suspected Ingleside was going to win. Same thing, same reason. Ingleside has been scoring more points, allowing less points in those games that they won. But I thought realistically going into this week that it was going to be a closer game. I mean, they're battling for third place. Nobody wants to be fourth place. If you're fourth place, uh, you got to play the number one team in the other district. You know what I'm saying? And then fourth place, because of the way Westoso's doing, is still not set in stone. So that's what Westoso could still get into the playoffs, because I think Ingleside's going to be third place. Westoso could still get into the playoffs with a worse record than Port Isabel. So that's something that I thought Port Isabel would take to this game, because they really need this win. They really need to get some more wins, so that district wins, so that Westoso doesn't come in and swoop that fourth place from them. So, Steve, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of like that. The game that we just talked about, the Beeville and the Beeville game. Port Isabel just don't have that passing attack, and it's very hard to go in against these tough defensive teams. Ingleside's right there. I think Ingleside's a great defensive team. Take away, the Rockport score, we're just a great offensive team. But they got a really good defense down there. And it's tough if they just one-minded, you know what I'm saying? If they load the box and then, because the threat of the passes is there. They only had two passing attempts the entire game. 2 passing attempts the entire game. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to win a game like that. I'm not too sure. I was looking at the guy that they're running the rock to. His name, it's a Medina kid. He got 14 carries for 128 yards. So, I mean, statistically, he got his, right? But, I mean, it's tough, when you get a great defense like Ingleside to come down and they're going to shut you down. If you're just one-dimensional, they're going to shut that down, and that's what's where Rockport and we're just too dynamic, and Ingleside's defense, it's like, who do you stop? You know what I'm saying? So, when they're up against a team like that, they tend to slack just a little bit, but you get a team that's just one-sided, they're just gonna pound the rock. Ingleside's gonna load the box and they're gonna kill you. They're gonna eat your lunch all night, and that's exactly what they did. So, Port Isabel is gonna be a struggle, for them. I honestly, I think they definitely got the harder road. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they got us in the last game of the year, and I don't see Cyber taking the foot off the gas, even if we do bring up some younger kids. You know what I'm saying? That last game, and they get some carries in. He's not going to take the foot off the gas. He's going to finish the season strong, and so they're due for another throttling there. You know what I'm saying? So, great win for Ingleside. Bounce back up, get up off the ground. You know what I'm saying? After a tough loss. So who has Ingleside got? Sinton, is that right? Is their last game of the year
No.
Sinton? No.
Yeah, their last game, but next week they have Raymondville.
Okay, but their last game's against Sinton, right?
Stinson,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's going to be a big one for them. You know what I'm saying? They got to take care of business against Raymondville, and their eye needs to be on Sinton. You know what I'm saying? To try to get that W, man, that big signature win for the season. That's all this team needs for for me to have a great complete season is to get that signature win. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they got to win against Gonzalez early in the season, but we all know they're not the team that they were. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure that they got that last game of the year circled, and it's going to be big, man. It's going to be big. It's going to come down to the last week. I believe it's going to come down to the last week.
Well,
I still think they went in there at number 4.
if they find a way to pull it off against Sinton, that stirs up the district for first place. So we'll see, because that would make it exciting. Gabriel, what are your thoughts on this game?
No, no surprise. Look, Ingleside was going to be able to beat. Well, they got to beat Raymondville. Port Isabel to me is not as good as we thought. I originally thought, especially when Robstown scored a lot of points. And their defense is not that good, and offensively, you heard what Steve had to say about them. So it's no surprise. I think Ingleside's getting better every week. Defensively, they're good. Offensively, they're scoring points. And they throw the ball, they run the ball effectively. They're just not running it like Steve said. They're running in. Ingleside's a really good football team this year. They're just running into 2 teams in the district that have been good for a long time. 2 offenses with some skilled players that have been playing, varsity for 3 or 4 years. I mean, we talked to Renee and Ryland. They've been on that team probably 3 to 4 years on that varsity. Then you look at Rockport, John Chupi, A Cyber. You're looking at guys that have been on this team now, these seniors, for 4 years. So it was tough for Ingleside to compete against these two because these two programs were really good this year. But that Ingleside team is coming. They're getting better every week.
I agree.
I've seen them every year. Their offense has gotten a lot better this year than it was last year. Their defense has been good. So no surprise. I thought that they would be the 3rd team. I didn't think that they were going to be Rockport and Sinton this year, and it's playing out that way. But no surprise that they're winning. Now, this game they've got, you said, against Raymondville, right? You said they're playing this Friday. That's interesting. Is that game going to be played in Ingleside or in Raymondville?
Man, I told myself I was going to be writing that down,
Okay, that's
and I
okay.
didn't. No,
That's
I'm
all right.
gonna check. I'm checking right now. I still got it up. I didn't write it on here. Uh, they are playing. It's home for Raymondville, so Ingleside's going over there.
So this becomes very interesting, guys. I still think Ingleside will get that game, and we'll predict it when we get to the preview, right? But this could be very interesting. Raymondville can score some points. Now, we've seen them. They're not as great as they used to be, but this becomes very interesting to see what happens. The trip up there, it's a long trip, but I still think Ingleside will win that game. But overall, no surprise here. I didn't think Port Isabel was going to be able to hang at all. So great win for Ingleside.
Yeah. Raymondville needs a win. Because the playoffs is slipping away for them. So who knows? That like you said, they're playing at home. They got a hometown crowd, and they had a lot of fans show up to that game. So
Didn't they score
you know,
21 against Rockport? What they score against
nah,
Rockport?
it was like 45-6 or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, nah. It was Rio Hondo. Rio
Real
Hondo
Hondo.
scored. Yeah. But they had a lot of fans. They had a lot of fans show up to that game. It looked like, there was quite a bit of people there. And teams get better week after week. And again, once the playoffs start slipping away from you, that kind of
Sense of
motivates you to.
urgency. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. It is a winnable game for each team. Of course, Ingleside needs to get that win to stay in third. But Raymondville needs to win to hold to try to get a playoff spot if that's what they're trying to do. So, anyways, we'll see what happens next week. So the next game we have a game that I thought was going to be better. It was a game of the week. This is for 2 teams battling for a playoff spot in that 5A district down here. I think this was our game of the week. We got the 4-3 Moody Trojans versus the 4-3 Victoria West Warriors, and in this game, Victoria takes it 39-22. It looks like Z and Steve picked Victoria. So I'm gonna let you go first, Steve. What are your thoughts on this game? Why did you pick Victoria? Well, I know you didn't look at the things, but just tell me because I know you talked about Victoria earlier on in the season. So you picked them, right on the spot. So what led you to do that in that moment when you picked them?
Well, I just think that they've been improving. You know what I'm saying? They've been playing better ball. You know what I'm saying, week to week. And Moody has been on a bit of a decline. You know what I'm saying? They hadn't been. They've been they've been in some games and they've gotten some wins, but I just thought that this was a winnable game. You know what I'm saying, for Victoria West. I think it's a big win for those guys. You know what I'm saying, to for that program, and they did a great job. They came out and they put it to them, man. There's no doubt. So they're sitting at fourth in district, so they're fighting for their playoff lives right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big win for those guys to stay afloat. So it's kind of like you said, right? Which team is going to rise to the occasion when you're on the edge there? You're on the brink of either falling off or you could slip down a little bit. They did everything they could, so they're fighting for their playoff life. So that win solidified it. You know what I'm saying? So they're hanging on to that fourth seed. You know what I'm saying? And I just thought that Moody wasn't they're on a bit of a downside. You know what I'm saying? They're slipping just a little bit. So I went with Victoria West.
I think that district is still wide open just because of how teams are winning. Like Victoria East beat Victoria West or vice versa, but
Mm-hmm.
one of them beat Flower Bluff. It's wide open for third and fourth. Like that's not
Mm-hmm.
set in stone. Only thing set in stone right now is first and second.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Veterans Memorial at number one, and a Cinderella year. You have Portland Gregory-Portland Wildcats at number two. You know what I mean? I said at the beginning of the season I thought they were going to make the playoffs. I didn't know that they were going to be number two in their district. So, great job to them. But third and fourth seed in these next 2 weeks will be deciding those seeds because they're not set in stone yet, just because of how they're winning and losing. What I do know is Ray and Cuero are not going to make the playoffs. But there's 3 or 4 other teams that need to fill those 2 spots. So it was interesting to see what happens the next 2 weeks. Someone has to rise to the occasion. Johnny, you also picked Victoria West. What led you to pick them?
Well, I'm gonna go behind you on that. Moody's also eliminated with that loss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They came out in the Call of Times.
Okay.
So mathematically, they're eliminated.
Okay. So then they've got
Moody's also done with that loss.
We got East, West, and Flower Bluff then only fighting for the 2 spots. Okay.
Wait. Yeah.
So I went with the West. They have up and down. They pull it out. They don't pull it out. They haven't been that dominated team like last year. But Moody coming off that loss against Flower Bluff the week before, like Steve was saying, they're on the down low right now. And Flower Bluff also been that team that's been like up and down. And I keep saying this over and over. You can't win if they don't win the big game. The other games don't matter. And this was the Flower Bluff game was a big game. They needed. They didn't get it. This game was a huge game for them, and they didn't get it. So, they needed it. They needed this win, and this is why I just went with West on this, just because I don't think Moody has that thing. They don't have the Moody magic. It belongs in baseball, not football.
Gabe, you picked Moody. What was it for you? I know for me, like I said, I looked at the games that they didn't win, but that they were competitive in, and that's why I picked Moody. But what was it for you?
Mine was the same reason. I thought that they could, go in there and surprise Victoria. I mean, Victoria has been up and down. They have been consistently good. They're good, and then they surprised where they lost. Wow, they should have won this game. So because Victoria was inconsistent this year, I thought Moody had a good chance to go in there and surprise them. Of course, they got Victoria at a time when Victoria was on, but I think Moody is kind of like what we say. They're basic. They're there, and then they're not there. They're right there. They just can't get over And I like to see this team compete. I mean, we know they can beat the other corporate schools versus, except for vets, right? They're when it comes to King, Ray, Carroll. But they've got to be able to beat these big games like Flower Bluff, like Victoria. The big games are what count. And, you're winning the winnable games, but can you beat some of these big dogs in your district? And they haven't been able to do that this year. So I just thought that because Victoria was a little inconsistent, Moody might be able to go in there and shock them. It didn't happen that way, but that's why I picked Moody.
I mean, just 2 weeks ago, they barely lose to Flower Bluff and the in the final minutes of that game. They lost 21-24. So I thought if Moody could go toe to toe with Flower Bluff, that they would be able to beat Victoria West, and they proved me wrong. It wasn't a blowout, but I thought the game would be closer than that. But anyway, so yeah, thanks Johnny for sharing that. I thought they still had a chance just because of their records, but I guess not. So the next game I have was a game that was closer than I thought. This this sealed the deal for Gregory-Portland, and the second spot in that district. GP takes the win 20-17 over Victoria East, and in this game, it looks like Z. No, 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 no. We all picked Gregory-Portland to win that game. So, Johnny, I'll let you go first. I know you didn't want to pick GP. You said, I don't want to pick GP, but you did. So, what was it about this game that led you to go Gregory-Portland's way this week?
It's not just this game. It's just GP's on high right now. They're just way up there. They're riding high. I think if they were playing Memorial at the end of the season, I think they might get them. It's sad that they had to play them at the beginning like that, but GP's for real this year. Brendan Redden, again, big game, 173 yards passing, had a touchdown, even 59 yards on the ground. And Flinch, what was it? They clinched. Behind that, that's the first time they clinched the playoffs in 6 years. So this is huge for them.
They're number two.
They're number two. They clinched that number 2 spot. So it's the thing is this was a close game at the beginning. Tight all the way. They were down at the half, 20-17. So they turned it around. I don't know if they got a touchdown and made a field goal. Or they got two field goals. That I don't know. I just know it was 20. They were down 20-17 at the half, and they basically flipped that scoreboard. So GP's for real. I think that this is something.
Yep. So what about you, Steve? I know you were on the GP bandwagon for a while. I remember you picked them against Veterans Memorial, and we were like, is this guy crazy? And then they go in there and Veterans Memorial only beats them by 10 points.
Yeah.
So talk about GP and what it is that led you to pick them this week against Victoria East, and a game Victoria East needed to win to be number 2.
And I tell you what, they came out Victoria East, they came out playing that way. And honestly, we all know it. We talk about it all the time when, a team is doing well and they're kind of steamrolling around the season. And then they, come up against a team that they should beat, by 30 points. They're in a tight game. You know what I'm saying? Both teams pitched a shutout in the second half. No team scored in the third or the fourth quarter, either one of them. So all the score was done in the first and second quarter. And but yet GP was, they did enough to get the W. Let's see, you talked about Redden and his stats, right? So their receiver, what is it, DeBoose? He's number 1, right? You guys remember that kid? He played big, man. He played big. He had 5 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. He's one of their big targets down there. So he had a great offensive game. But I think it all comes on a defense, and I don't have much of the defensive stats. I wish I had more on what the both teams did in the second half, because they really locked it down. You know what I'm saying? Both teams really played lights out in the second half. So I wish I had more stats on how that did, how that came to pass, and and it was able to, shine some light on some of those defenders that had great games, obviously. But yeah, no, like I said, I think GP kind of maybe walked into the game a little overconfident, and then let these guys stay in the game long enough, and then it gets scary towards the end because you can't score no more points, and you just luckily that you're able to hold them to 0 points in the second half. So it's kind of a trap game, and luckily GP avoids the trap. You know what I'm saying? So that knocks Victoria East to 4-4 on a season, and they're on the outside looking in right now. So you know what I'm saying, that might have been the biggest reason why they were playing so dang hard, was that they're fighting for their playoff lives as well. So man, good deal. GP was able to pull out the win, and I'm sure the coach is gonna regroup and be like, that's not good enough. We can't be play when we want to play type of mentality. You know what I'm saying? They got to finish the regular season off strong and go into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? They'll be wrapped up with their district play here next week, right? Everybody's just got one more game left.
They got 2. It's 2 weeks, right?
Is it 2?
Because they got let me see. Shoot. Yeah, because we're doing week 10. We're doing week 10, and then we start week 11.
But they could be ahead of us, though. Some teams start playing district play early.
Let me see. God dog it. I was just there.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, so hopefully, the coach gets them back on track. You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely, yeah, because because we're talking about Victoria West. They only got
Yep. Next week's the last
only got one
game.
more game.
Next week's the last week. The last week for them. Yeah. So.
So I mean, good deal. I'm sure GP will get it turned around, get it corrected, and they'll go into the playoffs on a high note. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely not the way they want to go.
Yeah. So Gabriel, what were your thoughts? And just remember, he talked about Red, and he talked about Dubois. This is a young team. For them to be playing like this late in the season, or just this year, and then also continue the momentum to this late in the season. I mean, it seems like they're gonna make some noise in the playoffs this year. Having not making it the last 6 seasons. And they got a young team. They got a lot of these guys coming back. Talk about your thoughts on this game and the team that they have. They got a bunch of juniors and sophomores on the team that are really racking up some good stats. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, this season, I'll just start off by saying this. This will be a good year to build for next year, which I think they'll be a lot better next year than they were this year. This is a surprising year for them. But I think if you're Coach Brent Davis, this is a good game because they've been blowing people out. Surprisingly, it's kind of been like they've been on a high, like we can't come down, but we're playing with a lot of confidence and everything's going right. And in this game, it didn't. Some things didn't go right. So he finally got to see his team face some adversity. Okay, what are we going to do here? And they win. So for me, if I'm the coach, I don't want to see a game like this, right? But we've been so good, playing so good. We didn't come out with our A game, yet they found a way to beat a pretty good team. And I think if you're Coach Davis and your assistants, you look back at this and say, hey, we can grind out a game if we have to, which makes them more dangerous. So for me, it was a lot closer than I thought. But I thought it was a good win for GP to not come out and play good against a good team and still find a way to win it. Your offense can't score points. Your defense bails you out, right? It happens like that all the time. So it was a good, close win for GP. Now, going into the playoffs, I don't know. They're the second seed. We're going to be the second seed. And Johnny's already talked about what the second seed faces. GP will face the same thing in a tough, 5A Division I district. So how well would they be? Can they get through round one? And then round two, it gets real difficult. We'll see. That's when we'll see. That's when I think GP will get tested in round two. But just getting in the playoffs for this team, I think is good. Getting a first round win would be good for them compared to where they've been the last couple of years. But I think it's going to be tough in the playoffs. And everything that they're building, Tony, this year, it's what they're accomplishing this year. It's all built for next year because it's going to be really good between Vets and GP next year. But for this game, I thought it was really good. to win a game like this. They have been just so dominant, playing so good for weeks now that when they don't come with the A game, but they were still they found a way to win a close game against a very good team. So props to GP. But that second seed, it'll get tough in the playoffs, and we'll see what they do in the playoffs.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next game we have, to me, it was a shocker that it was as close as it was. I did not expect this game to be as close as it was, and I didn't expect the results. In this game, Steve was the only one, and I think it's just because he didn't have time to look at no records or nothing that picked the winning team. Miller gets the win in a close one over Porlavaca Calhoun. 44-40. I don't know if y'all watched that game. I was watching that game on Rio Sports, and it was a really good back and forth game. A game where it looked like Miller was gonna blow out Porlavaca, and Porlavaca comes back and stays in the game and makes it close. Even has the opportunity to tie it up in the end. So, Steve, I know you didn't have a lot of time to look at stats and all of that before you picked Miller. But what was it about you picking him with your gut just in a few seconds that I gave you to give me a pick? What made you say Miller over Porlavaca?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Calhoun, they kind of started off pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Their running backs kind of surprised me. We know that they lost, right? They lost some big keys, and then they came back and they had some good wins early in the season. Again, like them, they just haven't been very impressive here as of late. And I don't know if I'm just talking out of my ass, because you're right. I just kind of went with it on a short notice. Hey, but it worked out, bro. Just give me that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, and I don't mean that Miller's not a bad team,
Yeah.
but I thought for sure Porlavaca opens up the season. They open up the season, if I'm correct, with the win over Navarro, right? Is that correct? I'm just double checking, making sure I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, no, they got to win over Navarro.
They open up the season with the win over Navarro, and you know what I mean. They have a close one against El Campo, and so I'm thinking, this team is a lot better than we're giving them credit for than their record is. And Miller, they play Sinton, they get a win over Sinton, and they really get it handed to them against Waco La Vega. I'm talking preseason right now, but I just thought that Calhoun was gonna have the edge on this game. We've seen Miller's defense, and they're used to scoring, outscoring the other team, in a shootout. And that's the other thing about this game in particular is it wasn't a shootout. Greenwood ran the ball a lot. I didn't look at his carries, but Greenwood ran the ball a lot, and I think that was the difference. And I know I said this about last week. Had Miller ran the ball more, uh, like they did 2 weeks ago against, I don't remember who it was, where they got 54 carries. Had they ran the ball more against Cal Allen, because that wasn't a blowout game either. I think that game is closer. So in this game, Greenwood gets the ball a lot, and they pull off the win. So uh Gabriel, Johnny, I'm gonna go to you first, Johnny. We both picked Calhoun. What was it for you about Calhoun over Miller?
Um, Miller is just back and forth. They're not consistent of what they offense they want to run. I would say that if they stick with that ground, man, they got it. But I was going by them just eliminating that ground game, and it was ground game from Calhoun against Miller's air attack. And I said this was going to be a high scoring game. This was lower than I thought it was going to be. I never said one was going to take over the game, who was going to blow out anybody. I said both of them were going to be a very high scoring game. And I expected higher than these 40s. I mean, last year, I think it was 78, 76 or something like that.
Yeah.
78,
Yeah.
77. So
77, 76.
I was kind of seeing like a 50s, high 50s, low 60s game. Just because neither team has a defense. I got to say that they've known that Miller can't stop a team, Calhoun can't stop a team. You know, between both teams, a lot of scores were scored in that fourth quarter. It just shows you that these defense can't come and make adjustments in the second half. This is where they fall apart, or they keep other teams hanging with them while they're going. You know, Calhoun scored 22 against Miller 16 in that fourth quarter. So like you were saying, that fourth quarter, Calhoun was making a threat, but they couldn't pull it off. I didn't watch the game, but that, this is what I'm reading on.
Hey,
And,
was this a continued game? Did they play this in 2 segments? No.
No.
Okay.
No. They it was scheduled for Saturday. It was
Oh,
originally
okay,
scheduled for
okay.
Saturday.
That's
Yeah.
what had me confused. I'm like, well, what the hell? Did they start it on Friday? I knew there was weather
No.
in the area. Okay.
No. Yeah, Cal Allen was postponed to Saturday morning, and then this game was originally scheduled for Saturday.
Okay.
So yeah.
But you're right,
Go ahead.
Tony, that Ethan did have more carries this game. We're going from 54 to like, wow, this is how they're going to compete, to go into 14 carries last week. Like I said, if he was going to have 30 something plus carries, it's going to be an interesting game.
Do you know how many he had? Because I don't have no stats.
He had 25 this game.
Yeah.
25 carries.
That's
on
good.
121 yards, 25 carries.
Mhm.
You keep that ball on the ground, dude. This is, you're keeping that defense honest,
Yeah.
especially with that big boy. And he also had 55 yards receiving.
Yeah.
So that's a big boy to take care of him. Or Jaden Brown still with his 5 touchdowns, 23 of 34 out of passing and 316 yards. So we know they can throw. They put that ground attack down too. It's a double threat, but man, they got to do that every game. But with that win, they do clinch the playoffs.
There you go.
Miller.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got Cal Allen. So does that make Miller number 2, or they just clinch a spot?
They just clinch the playoffs.
Okay. Because I thought, with with the way people are beating each other and losing, I thought it was up in there. It's up in the air between them two the way they finish out though, right? For Port Lavaca and Miller, or does Miller get number 2 if they win out and Port Lavaca wins out? Do you know that?
That I don't know.
No? Okay. So Gabriel, going into this game, we talked about, Greenwood getting 54 carries 2 weeks ago, and then only 14 carries against Cal Allen. Okay, and then he comes in and gets 25 carries in this game. Okay, and to me, that's what made the difference. I don't know if you saw the game. That made the difference. Now going into this game, also, Port Lavaca only had 8 total passing attempts on the no, that's what they have now. They only had 4 passing attempts on the season. Okay,
Wow.
and they had two passing they had 4 passing attempts this last game, and 2 of them were much needed in that fourth quarter to get the game close. So they had to change their game plan late in the game to stay in this game because they don't pass. They got 8 attempts on the whole season, and 4 of them were Saturday. So what are your thoughts on this game? What do both teams need to do to really close out the season and be ready for the playoffs?
Well, the better team won, which was Miller, right? That night. But no matter what they do, Port Lavaca is always going to be a run game first. And Justin Evans and Miller is going to be a pass. The thing with Miller, I'll go to Miller first. Miller's got a threat in the run game now that you need to utilize. And I think they're starting to utilize them, especially when they have a lead, because when you pass, I've seen Miller have a lead and they're still passing, and ball can get deflected. There's a chance it can get intercepted. So when they have a lead, to protect that lead, you use that big boy and you give them the 14, 20, 25, whatever carries you need to run that clock that help you win that game. You keep the ground, right? And that's where I think Miller needs to utilize Greenwood, is when they have the lead in the third and fourth quarter, where they can run some of that clock off. right? Because you make a pass, 3 incompletions, boom, the ball goes over again. Didn't run very much time off that clock. That gives another team a chance to come back and win. That's how Miller has lost some of their games.
Yes.
But
yes.
I think that, they're not going to go to the run a lot, but I'm glad to see that Coach Evans is starting to use what he has in that backfield to keep a lead. This guy, his quarterback, he's not going to have him back there just to hand that ball up. They're still going to pass a lot. So they're going to be a passing game. That's what he's been doing. And they're going to continue to do. That's what they're going to do in the playoffs. But it is nice to see that he does hand that ball off more times than just 4 or 5 times. That'll help you keep a lead, run time off that clock, and give you the win. Now, on Calhoun's side, I thought Calhoun's running game could sustain drives and score. And this is how I thought they would be. Miller didn't happen that way, like you're saying. They had to pass to get some wins. That means Miller's defense was ready for the run. Surprisingly, we didn't think that they would be, or I didn't think so. But it was a close game either way. I mean, Miller found a way to win it. Now, Calhoun still has to play Cal Allen. You never know what can happen, but you would think that Cal Allen's going to win that game. I think they play the final game of the regular season. But for Miller, this is going to be very interesting for Miller when they get into the playoffs. Evans got Greenwood, and in the last couple of weeks, we've seen him be used a lot. So does this mean that he's going to use him somewhere in the playoffs? Is he going to slow this high-power offense down just a bit to be able to hand the ball off? Are you going to see something different from Miller? Because this is something that we didn't see the last, 3 years. So it's very interesting as Miller gets into the playoffs and what Justin Evans is going to do. Is he going to continue to just go pass, or is he going to utilize Greenwood? This is a guy that can take you to a win. I mean, so we're starting to see him. So Justin Evans may be thinking about slowing that high-power offense down just a bit when they have a lead. And this guy, because this guy can carry it. We've already seen it. I mean, he's going to run your defense tired. I mean, this is a load that you got to deal with. It's almost a guaranteed 3-4 yards every play. So very interesting to see what Justin Evans would do moving forward. But this was a good game. I was surprised that it was this close. I thought that Calhoun would win it by at least 2 touchdowns or more. I thought Miller was going to struggle on the pass, but he went to the run, something I didn't think he was going to do, and they ended up getting the 4-point win. Good job for Miller. We'll see what happens as we move down with Calhoun and Cal Allen, as they'll be playing here in about a week.
No, absolutely. I think that was a good call out, making these adjustments now, because I think that will be the catalyst in how Miller does. Because when you look at the game versus Waco La Vega that they had, they passed 95% of the time. They could not get a running game going. I mean, you can't hand the ball off to Greenwood in desperation when the defense is ready for anything, because they know, hey, they're nothing's working for them, but they built up in the last 3 weeks, a different look, a different side that they haven't showed in the last 2 or 3 years. And Greenwood's been there. You know what I mean? So you got to utilize. We talked about that, here in Rockport. You got the guys. You got to utilize them, and he is a guaranteed 3 or 4 yards to carry. Most of his yards have come in the last 3 games because of the amount of carries that he's got, and that really opens up Jaden Brown. I mean, Jaden Brown's doing an excellent job in the air, but going into the playoffs, they have to be more than one-dimensional. We talked about that with Tuloso-Midway, only running the ball and not passing at all. Miller's not going to be able to play against really, really good defenses, only passing, and that showed against Waco La Vega.
Well,
So,
Tony, but check this out, Tony. First of all, like you said, it takes a lot of pressure off of his quarterback, right? Because he's still young, he's still learning. So, if the team's got to worry about the run, it opens up the pass for him. Yep. And so he don't have to depend on this young quarterback's arm to win the game. But the other thing is that he don't have Andrew Body either. Body could go down there and just go down the field on you. Brown may be that a Body when he gets up in junior and senior, right? But he doesn't have that now. So he's had to rely. The one thing that he does have from last year is a back that can carry the load for you. So I think that as we move forward in the playoffs, how much he utilizes Greenwood will help that pass. It's going to be very interesting, man. And maybe Miller's found something that may help him go, 3 rounds plus in the playoffs. We'll wait and see.
Hey, check it out. Greenwood is a junior. Brown is a sophomore. So, you know what I mean? They got some things brewing over there, for the rest of this season and especially for next season. So, we will see what happens. We got a lineman change next year. I mean, that's something we need to pay attention to. We might be in that district. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. There's a lineman change next year. So that's the kind of things that we need to be looking at for next season. Um Next game we have Bishop going into Lyford. In this game, Lyford takes the win 38-20. I figured they were gonna win this game. Johnny didn't. So Johnny, I'm gonna go to you first.
Yeah, I don't remember why I picked Bishop,
It
but
was it was because of a game that they both played that was similar. I can't remember what game it was, but they both played somebody and Lyford win wasn't as impressive as Bishop's win or something like that. Or
yeah, it
maybe it was a
probably was
loss.
something like that. I usually go by something like that, but I got to say this: Bishop did have 3 turnovers this game. You can't play a game like that and expect to win. You know, was it 38 or 30?
I got 38.
I got 38-20.
Okay, I had 30. I don't know why. But Lyford had 305 total yards, 225 on the ground. So they were pounding it on them. And they held Bishop to only 185 yards. You can't win games like that with a total of 185 yards. So, Lyford came out to beat this one. And I think Bishop had the lead at one time for this game, if I can remember.
I can let you know right now. Oh, no, I can't. It's not updated. Just the final. So I don't know, and I wasn't watching this game closely, but at halftime, so I couldn't tell you. Uh, but it's possible. I mean, the score's not that far off. They only win by 18 points. Steve, again, I know you didn't have time to do your homework, but you picked Lyford. You got lucky and you picked the team that won. Tell me a little bit about this game.
No, man, I'd say, Bishop just hadn't done any much offensively all year. You know what I'm saying? They had that one game against SGA that they kind of ran up the score a little bit and scored probably about as much as they scored in all the rest of the games prior to it. Offensively, they're struggling right now. They just can't get it going. And I know Lyford had a tough game against London. And I just knew that Lyford was going to put up more points. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bishop's struggling to score, and Lyford can score enough to get wins. So it was pretty easy pick for me. I knew that that Bishop was struggling, and that one game that they had where they scored a lot of points, kind of caught everybody by surprise, was just a blip. So I had Lyford winning this game. On the blind, even if I was blind.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Bishop has not been scoring as many points, and Lyford did have a tough game against London, where they still scored 26 points against a very good London
Yeah,
team.
that's what I'm saying. A good squad.
You know what I mean? And then they were able.
What did Lyford play? Did Lyford play at Odom?
No, I don't believe so. They played Raymondville. They lost a close one to Raymondville as well, which is why I picked them because Raymondville, uh, even though they're not doing well in our district. Our district is tough. You know what I mean? But I think if Raymondville was in that
Lyford did
district,
play San Diego.
yeah, San Diego.
That's what I went by.
Okay.
Because San Diego beat 24-6.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
Bishop lost to San Diego 28-20.
Oh yeah, because it was closer.
Yeah, that's what I went by. I remember now.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was something about a game that they both played, but no, it wasn't Odom. so I knew it wasn't Odom.
San Diego.
But yeah. So, Gabriel, what about you? What are your thoughts on this game?
I'm gonna make this quick, guys. I just thought Lyford was the better team. It's that easy. Bishop
All
didn't
right.
impress me. They haven't impressed me all year. So I just went with the team I thought was more consistent and was better, and they prevailed.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, so this next game,
Now,
this
Bishop,
is
I'll say this. I may come back, maybe basketball, girls. We may talk, I don't know. Well, I would go Bishop, but in football.
They got a good softball program down there too.
There you go. But for football, I just don't think they've been consistent enough, Tony. Like Lyford, which really came down to, and Lyford they were the better team, I thought, and I thought that they could pull it out. They did.
Yeah. So the next game, this is a game that both of these teams have struggled for wins. So
I sure
normally
hope Steve got this one right.
he didn't know that they played. He didn't know. So I gave it to him because he didn't know. He's like, oh, they played yesterday? I was like, yeah, they played yesterday.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah.
So he didn't know. He didn't know. And Gabriel was there. I said, Gabriel, look, he didn't even know they played yesterday.
Hey,
so
I
I'm gonna
think
go
I
ahead and
only
give him
lost one game this week, guys, on the blind. I think I'm gonna start doing
did.
that from now on.
that. You did. You were actually the biggest winner, and we'll get to that. But Ray and King, I mean, King gets their first win, of the season, and big 21-0 over Ray. Ray got one win already, so now they both got one win apiece. But man, you think these two teams are at the bottom, that they would try to make the game closer, but I guess King wanted to come out and they wanted it more. So King gets the big win on this one. What are your thoughts on this one? It looks like we all picked the winner. So what are your thoughts on this one, Johnny?
Dude, I want to know where y'all getting your scores from. What'd you say the
21-0.
score was on that one? Huh?
21-0.
It was 27-0. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
Max Preps.
they scored 4 touchdowns. Anyways, yeah, this was King's first win out of 8 games. It's after 8-game losing streak, not winning streak. I'm gonna brag a little bit on King a little bit. This is their first win. You gotta have a little love for them. They had 369 yards rushing. Opening run was an 82-yard run by Brian Gillen. The defense only gave up 144 yards, and King jumped out to that 27-0 at the half. Jordan Castillo had 212 yards on the ground on 19 carries, and he had a touchdown. Brian Gillen had 163 yards rushing, 11 carries, and 3 touchdowns. They came out. They wanted to win this game. They want to go out high. This is the way it ended. I'm happy for them. I'm glad that they're going out with a win for the season. It sucks to have that goose egg on your record. But hey, get for the seniors of anything. Happy for King.
Yeah.
Let's see. Steve?
Yeah,
What
no,
do you
hey, I liked this game when I saw it come across the thing. I liked it because both teams were struggling on the year, and we hadn't mentioned neither one of them. You know what I'm saying? On the podcast, we hadn't had them on actually any of the topics. So I was glad to see these two teams, you know what I'm saying, face each other. I was hoping that it'd be, like Johnny said, that we'd have more to talk about on both sides of the field. But unfortunately, Ray's struggles continues, and man, I really don't see, what I'm saying, where it's gonna come from. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that their younger divisions have something brewing down there that's gonna send a jolt of lightning through these guys and get them back to playing competitive ball. You know what I'm saying? This may be this may be one of those things where, they've already kind of packed it in and kind of chalked up the season. You know what I'm saying? I know it's terrible to say that, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's a winnable game for them, against King, you know what I'm saying? Let's do battle and really rally up and go out there and try to end the season, you know what I'm saying, on a positive note and try to get it turned around the last couple of games. But unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards for them. So I'm hoping that those guys get it turned around down there. I'm sure that the coaches are putting in the work and so are the boys. But I would, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough for those boys. And the way that they're going right now, it's got to be hard to hold your head up right there. So, hopefully they got something brewing down there and that they can bounce back.
Yeah, I think the toughest thing, because I grew up in Corpus. I mean, the toughest thing really is where do the kids want to go to school? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's why you see uh Veterans Memorial doing well year after year after year. Everyone's trying to go to Veterans Memorial. Everyone's trying to go to Veterans Memorial, and they've sucked some players from King, a lot of players from Carroll. Uh, so and race, same thing. I think that's really the biggest struggle is when you have a new school open up, everyone wants to go check it out, the enrollment changes and it just makes it tough to find that talent. You know what I mean, when the pool leaves. So anyways, hopefully it does turn around like you say. I know Carroll should see the same lift in the next couple of years when they open up their new school, and we'll see what happens. See what kind of guys and what kind of athletes will go to that school when that happens. Because I think that will happen again. I think it'll be the new school, and that should change that around. Gabriel, did you want to comment on that game?
No.
Okay. So the next game we got Cuero. And we've been talking about Cuero all season because we know that we'll see Cuero if we make it to the second round, when we make it to the second round. Uh really putting a whipping on Navasota. Navasota's a team that actually knocked Rockport out of the playoffs last year. They put a whipping on them 55-14 at home. They beat Navasota at their own house 55-14. We all picked Cuero to win. Of course, we're all in the Cuero bandwagon right now because we know how good they're playing right now. Any of y'all, Steve, you want to comment on this game?
Hold on.
Well,
Hold
I
on.
mean, Cuero winning big and Navasota's been struggling. They're 3-5 on the season. And, they haven't had the season that they wanted, you know what I'm saying, that they've had in years past. So it's been a struggle. And then you go up against Cuero. Cuero's really hot right now. They're the new team down there, you know what I'm saying? They got their win over Wimberley and they're doing big things. So I'm on the Cuero watch for sure. I mean, we all are, you know what I'm saying? They're doing great things and I see them. So I got my guy Chino. Chino's been really scouting that team. He's working that Mangles for me. That Johnny's been preparing us for, all those that playoff stuff. So and he likes Cuero and he says they look really sharp out there and they're doing big things. So so we'll see how it goes, man. See, Cuero can continue to steamrolling everybody. They I don't see anybody beating them. Let's see what they got.
They got Smithfield coming up.
Oh, Smithfield's going to be a huge game. Holy
So-
cow.
So
7-1
Johnny,
versus 7-1.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, Johnny, if Smithfield wins, beats Cuero, and they become the district champs, where does that leave Rockport in that second round?
Smithfield.
There you go. So there's still a chance that Rockport could play Smithfield or Cuero, depending on who wins this, because whoever wins this game is district champs, I'm sure.
What region do they play? What region does 15 play?
They're-
Oh no, not they're
They're
16.
13. They're 13.
They're 13. What
No,
region do
yeah,
they
they're
play?
13.
13 plays 14. We
14.
played 15.
Yeah, first round.
Okay. So
we would play them in the second round.
they're playing Wimberley, Navarro, and all them.
Yeah, they're playing the Wimberley, Navarro, and the other junior high team.
Two, yeah.
Yeah, so we might get away and play like Austin Achieve or something like that, right? I mean, because 4 teams got to make the playoffs over there. You know what I'm saying? One of we know number 1, number 2 who they are, and we don't got to play number 1 and number 2. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
in the
saying?
second round, because the winner of that district plays the number 4 of the Cuero district.
Which
Okay.
is going to be Wimberley because Wimberley beat Navarro.
No. Wait.
No, hold on.
The Cuero district, the number 1 plays the number 4 in
4.
that Wimberley. And we
Number
know
2 plays 3.
we know the winner of those 2 are going to be Cuero or Smithville. So they go to the second round. We're playing the number 3 seed of the Carrizo's district.
Yeah.
So the winner of that plays the winner of
Cuero
district.
or
1 and
whoever's
4
second, whoever's number 2.
Shit,
No.
you're probably better off.
You're playing. We're playing the number 3 spot. The winner plays the winner of the number 1 and 4 spot of the other bracket.
So right now,
We go straight to the 1 or 4 spot.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I
I
said
tell you
number
what,
2's hard.
I'll tell you what, Ingleside might be in a better spot than Rockport at
Yeah.
that third spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
To get to the third round, because like Johnny says, the second round you meet the district champs of that district. So third seed may be better than second, but I think Rockport's good enough to beat either one of those teams, Smithville or Cuero. I mean, listen, to get to where you want to get to, right? You're going to have to beat them second round, third round, fourth. That doesn't really matter. You're going to have to play them at some point. So whether you play them second week or third week, it really doesn't matter. Not much is going to change, right? Except for hopefully there's no injuries. But I was just thinking if Smithville beats Cuero, right, they win district, then Rockport's already seated at second. We would play Smithville, right? Is that right, Johnny?
Yeah, and that means Cuero goes to that bracket of sitting.
So the first
So
the
we're
first
rooting
playoff
for
we'll be playing the 3 seed in that thing.
The 3 seed in that Carrizo's district.
Hondo and all those
and a different. Okay. I'm not in this one because in this one in Cuero's division is LaGrange and Giddings in 3 and 4.
No, we don't go there.
No. Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Okay. So we no. We were just talking about that game. Gabriel, Steve, did you talk on the Cuero game? Yeah,
Yes.
you did. Johnny, did you get to talk on the Cuero game?
No, I didn't. This was Navasota is not having that great season as of the past. I thought Cuero's super hot right now. They're just on a high. So there was no if this happens, if that happens. I was easy going with Cuero on this one. And they're a very, very tough team. Navasota might have not that record, but they really look terrible on the defensive side against Cuero. Cuero had 534 total yards, and they spreaded it. 222 in the air and 312 on the ground. They were 9 for 9 on third down conversions. That's huge. And I think that's Rockport's problem is the third down conversions. Penalties kill us on that. And I know I mentioned this guy earlier this season by the guy by the name of Sean Burks. He's a junior linebacker for them. He's having a huge season. He had one of the off game last game against Navasota, 17 total tackles, which is kind of low for him. He has 153 tackles on the season in 8 games. That's 19 tackles a game, a junior. Sean Burks is a real guy. Look at his highlights. It's all over there.
All right. We'll be looking out for what number is he?
10 or 12?
Number 20.
20, I think.
Number 20.
20.
Okay. All right, Rockport, watch out for number 20 on Cuero, okay? Gabriel, did you get to talk on the Cuero game?
No, but I'll just say this. The game between Smithville and Cuero coming up is going to tell us a lot. As far as if Cuero can whip Smithville, it'll say a lot. But I'll just quickly say this. Um, Rock, there outside of Smithville. Well, I'll ask you this, Tony or Johnny. Which win, which win has Cuero had this year that's been impressive to you? Tony, I'll go to you. Which Cuero win this year impressed you?
They almost shut out Wimberley.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 13-2. What up? Oh, 21-3. They almost shut out Wimberley, and we know how good Wimberley is. Wimberley just whipped Navarro. So uh that's definitely the game that stands out to me.
Okay, Johnny.
Same game. Same game.
Okay. Now I'll ask you this: does Wimberley's run game is it as good as Rockport or Sitton's run game?
Wimberley's a passing team.
There you go. And that's why I think Rockport will be a little bit of a tougher competition because of the ground game. I think if we play Cuero, I think you're going to see a little bit of passing, but this is going to be the ground game because you're right. The passing game, we're not as equipped on the passing as Wimberley is. So I don't think you're going to, if we play Cuero, I could be wrong, but I don't think you put Ace in that type of predicament against a defense like that. You're going to use your bread and butter, which is the run game. Which is what you would have to do because you've got the run. This is when you use Kennedy, Luke, if he's healthy, John, and this is the game that you've been waiting to use John Chupi. This is it. If we get to that second round, he's been pressed. We've been talking about this is where he gets those 20, 25K. This is where he'll be. This is where you will utilize John Chupi because this is the guy that can make the plays for you. We talk about not using him a lot. If we end up playing Cuero in the second round, this is where you want to use your playmaker. I mean, you mix in Devin, I think you're going to see a lot more of a run game. Now, we got to kind of look at this Cuero game a little bit more as we get closer to the playoffs, right? But to me, that's what I'm saying. They shut out Wimberley as an impressive, but Wimberley don't run the ball. Now, Johnny talked about the quarterback, the guy that they have. It's a tackle machine, but you double team him and you see what happens, right? I mean, there's ways to utilize a guy. If you're a good offensive guy, if you're a good offensive-minded coach and you've got the offensive line, you can definitely, you can't stop him, but you can slow him down. But Rockport's got playmakers, and one of them is John Chupi. And this is where he would need to have a big game for us to upset Cuero. Could happen. I'm just throwing it out there for conversation in the next couple of weeks, guys. But outside of that, Cuero didn't surprise me at all. They've been having a phenomenal year. The big question when we play Cuero is our defense to their offense would be great. But we'll talk about that more. Just wanted to throw some out there to get those minds of you guys going. But Cuero is for real, and we'll have to contend with them if you want to get out of the region in the third round. So here we go. Yeah. But that Smithville Cuero game will be something to see when they play on Friday.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, just one more thing about the Cuero game. Cuero is also a run heavy team. Well, I mean, they got a good mix. They got a good mix of run and pass, but I mean, they run the ball a lot, and we talk about the guy who makes all those tackles. You know, one of the things that Rockport does well, even though, they have struggle with some teams on defensively. Rockport does a very good job playing when they play against a good team of really holding on to the ball for a long time on offense. So that slows down, those linebackers, they get cold on the sideline. It's when we play these teams that are not as tough where we don't have the ball a lot because we're scoring so fast. You know what I mean? So I think in games like that, you're absolutely right. Grind it and grind it and grind it. Keep that defense off the field because that defense is the thing that's keeping them in there. That's how you beat a team like Wimberley and let them only score 3 points. It's defensively. So you got to know going into a defensive game, you got to just grind that defense out, wear that defense down. So, anyways, you're right. Smithville and Cuero is going to tell us a lot, and we'll have a better picture of what Cuero is doing and what Cuero is about, especially later on in the season. So, since we're already talking about Wimberley, go to our state game. And this game, Wimberley finally beats Navarro in the regular season. The last 2 years, Navarro beats Wimberley in the regular season, and then Navarro normally wins in the postseason. But this year, Wimberley gets a big win, 27-0 over Navarro. Me, Gabriel, and Johnny all picked Navarro, but Steve, you picked Wimberley. So
Yeah.
what was it about Wimberley? I mean, was it just luck, or did you really think
Come
Wimberley was going to be
on.
Navarro?
None of this is luck, brother. No, I figured Wimberley would get things going, man. I mean, they're too good of a program down there. You know what I'm saying? The coaches, I mean, those guys are robots down there. That's the way I always look at those kids. Uh, I knew that they would rise up, man, and beat a really tough team. And like you said, if it's been forever that Wimberley's gotten this win, then they were due. And I'm sure that they're catching a lot of flack from everybody after that big loss early in the season against Cuero. And I think this is just a statement game saying that, hey, we're still here and we're still relevant. You know what I'm saying? So, they're gonna play lights out. So I mean, that's a great game for them. That's a great win. You know what I'm saying? To dismiss an old foe. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that done battle with time and time again. So it's a great win for Wimberley. And like I said, I think they're just tired of hearing about Cuero and that loss. You know what I'm saying? And they're ready to clean that record up. You know what I'm saying? So they're heading in the right direction. They're doing great, man. I think teams like Wimberley, you can never count them out. You know what I'm saying? That the boys got down there, and they just know how to win games. So good job.
Yep, absolutely. Johnny, me, you, and Gabriel all picked Navarro. So did you think that did you really think that Navarro was gonna win this game? Uh, or did you have a feeling that it could go either way?
I really thought Navarro was going to win this game. I was going by that win against Cuero. We know how Cuero's so high. Uh, I said, you beat Cuero, man, you're somebody. I didn't expect Wimberley to turn it around on Navarro, opposite of what Cuero and Wimberley went at it. So wow, and very shocked at the score of anything. You know, maybe the win, yeah, but the score, wow, shutout. That is crazy. That is crazy. Wimberley had 345 total yards. We talk about they don't pass. They don't run. They did have 152 yards on the ground, 192 in the air. So they pretty well split. They pretty well balanced the offense. So they didn't do just on the passes game. They went to the ground too. Navarro didn't do too bad themselves. Actually, no, they only had 173 total yards. I thought that was rushing. They had 173 total yards, 18 in the air. That's it. That shows you got to have the both attacks. And that's Wimberley. I guess that's what put it off against them. We have a double attack. We have the rush and pass. Navarro didn't go into that game with that. 18 yards on the air ain't gonna win you a big game like that. So I can see why this game was won by Wimberley, but I was shocked by how big they won.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. Um, I thought that the game should have been closer. And I went with Navarro just because Navarro, didn't matter what the record was, going into the regular season. The last 2 years they beat Wimberley. You know what I mean? So I was going based off of that, and again, like Johnny said, the win over Cuero, and then the way Wimberley, lost to Cuero, it's like, oh no, Navarro's got this game. But that's not the way it happened. So hats off to Wimberley for an impressive win and an impressive showing against Navarro. Gabriel, what are your thoughts on this game? These are two teams that we know a lot about.
Look, listen carefully, gentlemen, to what I'm going to say. Wimberley and Cuero beat each other up. This didn't mean nothing. They're like, they beat each other up. They know each other so well. One loses, one Navarro could come back and beat Wimberley next. I mean, they know each other, right? So one wins. They usually play twice in a season, district, and then regular season. So Wouldn't surprise me one bit if the losing team this time around wins big the next week. I mean, it's either way. They know each other so well. But listen to what I'm going to say. I picked Navarro, right? Because Navarro beat Cuero, right? Okay. Navarro beat Cuero this year, right? And how did Navarro beat Cuero? What does Navarro run?
T.
And what does Rockport run?
Same thing.
And that's why I said Rockport had a good chance with John Chupi to beat Cuero, because you got to look at it that way. Now, Navarro's got some backs. Rockport's got a back that's very fresh. All of this stuff that's been going on could help us out come Cuero. Cuero's one loss came to a team that runs the slot T, runs it. They pass like Rockport, but they run heavy. And it looked to me like Cuero, and I ain't seen Cuero. Maybe they had some trouble running that slot T. Rockport comes in that second round, and Cuero beats Smithville with the same type of offense that Navarro runs. So I'm not saying that Rockport will beat Cuero, depend on our defense as well. But we run that slot T pretty damn good as well. So if Navarro could beat them, I would say with about 70% of the slot T, Rockport's got backs, good backs, and they've got depth in there where we could keep that drive going. I'm just kind of throwing it out there for the playoffs. Hey, may happen, but I just wanted to throw it out there that the one team that Cuero lost to this year was to a team that runs a slot T, the same offense that Rockport's been running for years. Just throw it out there. Just throwing it out there. Never know what happens. But these two teams, Wimberley and Navarro, guys, they beat each other up all the time. This win by Wimberley means nothing to me because Navarro could come back in a couple of weeks in regions if they both teams get there, which I don't think they'll both get there this year because there's a lot of other teams that are good. But if they do, it wouldn't surprise me if Navarro was to whip on Wimberley this time. So no, it wasn't. It was surprising that Navarro, the way they lost, but they beat up on each other all the time. So no surprise here. But just think about that thing with Cuero and their loss to Navarro early on this season.
And that loss that Navarro had knocked them out of the top 10 in the state.
To Port Lavaca or to Wimberley?
That moved Cuero up, that moved Sitting up, and Wimberley's a new number 10.
And you know that Wimberley was running, Navarro was running all the time. I mean, they wanted to beat Wimberley. That's not to take the night off, right? I don't know if they had a bad game or what happened. Not sure. But you got to understand that Wimberley knows what Navarro loves to do. These teams know each other so well, man, that, it's real easy to stop one or the other. And then they make the adjustments, and then the team wins the next go around. So one team wins district, and then the other team wins the playoffs. So which one would you rather win, Tony? District or playoffs?
Well, you know what Wimberley's answer is. It's the playoffs because that's where they normally knock out Navarro.
That's right.
Like
so
but you know what? They're not going to play each other because it's going to be Sitting and Rockport.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep. That's why I was saying earlier that this time around it's a lot different, guys, because this time around, there's a lot of good teams coming out of this region. It's not guaranteed Wimberley and Navarro, man. There's a lot of good teams. This is going to be a great playoff. It's going to be great. I can't wait till the playoffs starts. Guys, that concludes it. It's 10 o'clock. I'd like to be able to do the preview tomorrow. I've got to download this video and the one with the Galvans tonight because when I don't, I get text messages from people. When's it going to come on? And I can't do it at work. So I'd like to get at least these two up and going.
They still want that video.
I've got those too, man. But it just takes so much time. I've got to watch them. And it takes me about an hour and a half just to go through these two. Because I kind of just go up, slow mo, making sure everything's okay. So I'm going to try to get these two up at least tonight because they expect it. And then when it's not up, man, it just causes a ruckus. And I already put down that they were going to come on tonight. So they got to come on. So if we could do the preview tomorrow, that way I can get some sleep before I go to work in the morning, that'd be great. We've got, tomorrow we've got at 7:30, we've got San Diego Vaqueros athletic director, head football coach Ismael Bo Ochoa. He'll be here at 7:30. So get your questions ready. Send them to me in the morning so I can email it to him so he can kind of take a look at it before he comes on in the evening. So be prepared for that. And then, of course, right after that, we'll take a little break. And then about 8 or 8:15, we'll have another guy. He's going to be on the Pirates Cove podcast. He will not be on the Gridiron. We'll switch over to the Pirates Cove.
at about 8:15. It'll be a Rockport alumni, Scott Casterline. He'll be here Tuesday at 8:15 on the Pirates Cove. We'll be talking. He's a sports agent. It'll get your questions ready for him. You don't have to email them to me. We'll just review them with Scott before we start the recording, but it'll be interesting. He's a Rockport alumni. Talk to him a little bit about when he went to school here, and then definitely talk to him about what he's been doing here the last couple of years. He's a sports agent for some NFL plays, past and present. So it'll be a good interview with him. Of course, Bo Ochoa, Ismael Bo Ochoa will be on the gridiron at 7:30. And then we'll switch over about 8:15 to the Pirates Cove, where we'll interview Rockport alumni Scott Casterline. So it'll be interesting. And then right after that, we'll jump back on the gridiron to preview week number 10 of the GI64 schedule, guys. So thank you very much. A little late, gonna get something to eat and then download these videos. I will see you guys tomorrow at 7:30.
Good night, fellas.
Peace out.
Bye.